So, gonna start off this meeting. I'm sure you guys are gonna be so surprised, but we're gonna start off this meeting with wins, like we do every meeting. And so I would love to hear from you guys what wins you are having, large or small. We want to hear them. And so if you could unmute and just tell us what is good, what is happening in the business that we want to celebrate.
I've got one I can go over. I was just
Tell us,
looking at
Bob.
sales this morning. I'm pretty happy. On our refinishing side, which is basically our, the bulk of our company, I was looking month to date, we're up 43.9% over last year, and year to date up 29.6%. So we're thrilled with those numbers.
Ooh,
Wow.
yes. Yes.
Wow.
And you know what? I mean, the growth is impressive. What is almost more impressive to me, though, is that you know your numbers. That is a huge win in itself, that you're able to get so minute with it and know it down to the percentage, the growth. That is huge.
Well, I got to
Congratulations.
admit, though, it's because we have an admin meeting on Thursday. So that's something I always put on the agenda for Thursday. So I wish I could claim I'm
Yes.
always on top of it. But
Well,
He's
you're
got
probably
it.
the one who set those meetings. So
Exactly.
all works together. Anybody else have a win that they want to share? Or even if you have a win and you don't want to share it, I'm asking you to share it.
Yeah, we've had it's Rob Colorasi Painting in LA. We had it looks like we're with you guys almost 2.5 months, almost 3 months, and we've closed 18 deals and we've done about 105 grand. So that's a big jump from when I talked to you last time, and right now our conversion rate is 35%. So anyway, good stuff. You guys continue
Yes.
to
Come on.
That's huge. Rob,
Yeah,
do
we
you
got-
remember where you were at off the top of your head
What do you mean where we were at?
in
Prior?
regards to like jobs closed or revenue?
Well, this is the first time we found a digital company that's honest and doing what they said they do. So I've been through 3 or 4 of them in the last year and a half.
God.
So it wasn't doing all the tracking. Working with Travis, we obviously setting up the tools and doing the tracking. So yeah,
Good.
they didn't really know the conversion of my team. So
That's
all of that,
okay.
it's all good, all very good. You guys have impressed.
Yes.
And I'm thankful I finally met someone that's honest and doing what they said they would do. To be honest, we have not advertised. We're going to start advertising our slow season,
Okay.
November, December, January. So we were super busy in the summer, and I want to continue during our slow time, and that'll be the proof in the pudding. So
Absolutely. Well, Rob, that's huge. Thank you so much for sharing. It sounds like this is a good call for you to be on, because that's what we're going to be going over is ads. But before I jump into it, does anybody have any last minute wins that they want to share? Going once, going twice. All right, we're going to get this show on the road here today, guys. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Okay, so like I said, what we're going to be talking about today is online advertising 101. I know that sounds so compelling and interesting. You're like, okay, what are we doing? So essentially what this call is going to be is it's really just going to walk you guys through the different forms of online advertising. There are hundreds of millions out there. I imagine that you guys get calls on a weekly basis, somebody trying to sell you something in regards to online marketing. Who can testify that that tends to happen? Yes.
I have Google telling me my business isn't verified. I'm like, what business are you talking about? I'm like, nice try,
Rudy's like, I don't own one. Thanks. And so news, bad news. The good news is as you are ranking better on Google with Redmond growth, you're going to get more leads, but you're also going to get more of those calls. So just encourage you to have fun with it. Block the numbers as they come in. But there are so many different, online marketing platforms. What I'm going to walk you guys through today are some of the best ones, the ones that we use the most, the ones that are the most common, the ones that we see the most fruit from. And I'm going to discuss kind of how they work, what they look like, and then really what you need to be considering and having in place before you even consider ads. So let's get into it. Let's cut through all of the big marketing words and mystery and confusion that a lot of ads companies will throw at you. And let's get really confident of knowing what we need to do if we're going to invest in ads and how to get the most out of them. Let's see. So what are ads? Like I said, there's multiple different types. The first type, and probably the most common, the one that you guys are the most familiar with, are going to be Google AdWords. You also can see Google AdWords showing up in the Maps section. I'm actually going to pull up a Google search here in just a second, and I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. How they work is you're going to get charged per click. And I promise, guys, I'm going to get more in depth of to which ads are going to work best for your industry here in a bit. So we're just kind of firing through. If you have questions, type them in the chat. We are going to have breakout rooms later. Promise we're going to get you your answers. But what that looks like, let me pull up my Google search. Are you guys seeing the Google search now? Beautiful. Okay. So I want to walk you guys through what Google AdWords looks like. These right here are Google AdWords. You'll see that I just typed in a search, Plumber Tulsa. These are what comes up. These people are paying to be here. Now they are going to get charged per click.
Do it. Do it.
No matter if I contact them or not, like Rudy just tempted me. If I clicked on this, they're going to get charged, even though I'm using this for a presentation. I am in no way looking for a plumber right now. And so that's how Google Ads work. Now, I'm sure you guys all know this. This is the Google Maps section. These people are not paying to be here. These are not ads. These people are showing up because of their reviews primarily and their geographical location. This is not an ad. But this is Google AdWords. Now, who here is familiar with Google Local Services? Probably on Google Local Services. Okay, Kaden, glad to see that you are. Travis, you too. I see a few others. Local Services, I'm going to go back to my presentation here. Google Local Services is technically a Google Ads product as well. Okay, it technically is. However, it works differently than AdWords, where you get charged per conversation compared to per click. So with Google Local Services, we kind of associate it more closely to a third-party listing site compared to an ad, even though it technically is a Google Ads product and it shows up like an ad. But with Google Local Services, you're only going to get charged if somebody clicks on that phone number and you talk to a legitimate customer asking for a service that you provide within the area that you do work in. And then all of the calls are recorded. And so if you get charged for something that you shouldn't, you're able to dispute it. And so Google Local Services, always where we want to start, especially if you're a contractor. We're going to want to start there before exploring any other ads, just because it is the most direct. It's the most cost effective. But it technically is a Google Ads product. Everybody with me? Thumbs up. Just want to make sure. Beautiful. Okay. I know we're getting kind of technical nitty gritty here, guys, so I appreciate you following along. Now, Facebook and Instagram are also known as meta ads, social media ads. Now, these can get charged multiple ways. It depends on how you set them up. The good news is if you're with Redmond Growth and we're running your ads for you, we're going to walk you through this and pick which one's going to be the best. We might test a couple to see which one works the best for you. Because with Facebook and social media ads, you can get charged per impressions, meaning people who have seen the ad, not taken any form of action. You can get charged, they've clicked on your ad, you can get charged per form fills. You know, they click on your ad, they fill out the form. Like I said, it depends on how you have your campaign set up. Good news is if you're with us, we'll help navigate that with you and determine which one's going to be best. Now, social media ads, what those look like Going to show you guys. You
Those are not
guys,
the ads I see.
you don't see sweaters when you're
No.
scrolling, Rudy? Well, I do. I do. And I will say that, you know, social media ads are very effective because how those ads are chosen to show up is based on your interests. It's a very creepy thing, the internet. They know more about you than you probably know about yourself. And so with these, you know, I do a lot of online shopping. I get ads popping when I'm scrolling through social media that look like this. And depending on how that company has it set up, they're either going to get charged per impression, per click, or per form fill. And again, I'm going to go over more detail, guys. I promise. We're just kind of firing through them right now. Now, the last ad that I want to go over with you guys is retargeting ads. Now, these to me are the creepiest because these are the ones that follow you around. So what a retargeting ad looks like is, let's say, has anybody ever, you know, said, oh, I need a new pair of sunglasses. So you go online, maybe to like Sunglass Hut or whatever, and then all of a sudden, maybe you didn't make a purchase, but all of a sudden, every single website that you go to afterwards, you're seeing an ad for Sunglass Hut. Who has had that experience where those ads just kind of follow you around? Those
Absolutely.
are, yes. And again, it's a little creepy. But that's where we're at. These are what retargeting ads typically look like. And these are going to get charged typically per click. And again, I'm going to walk you guys through what's going to work best for you here in just a moment. So that's kind of like the crash course, guys, on the main most common forms of ads. There's a lot of other ads out there. These are the most common. Now, you're at this stage, you're probably like, Nicole, this is all great information. I already knew all this, or maybe this is all new to me. Wherever you're at, the question that you're probably asking yourself is, what's going to work best for me? And typically the question in between those 4 different types is going to be more Google versus social media ads. And so let's kind of walk through the general rules of thumb here, guys. This isn't set in stone. Your coach is going to help you determine which one is best, but this is general thumb. Google ads show up when people are actively searching for relevant keywords to what you are advertising for. You know, a Google ad only shows up when somebody goes into Google and they type a keyword, you know, they're searching for something. And that ad that is relevant to what they're searching for is going to pop up. What that means is that this is somebody who has a direct need that is looking to fulfill it. And so these ads are very direct. They're direct searches. There's somebody who has high intent, is what we call it. Now, Facebook ads are disruptive. Who here goes to Facebook to find their plumbers? You know, do you know? No? Yeah, me neither. Nobody. Going to Facebook pipe burst and saying, let me go find a plumber. Let me scroll on Facebook till an ad pops up. Facebook ads are disruptive, meaning that you're just scrolling on Facebook because that's what we do. You know, we just scroll on Facebook and then an ad pops up. So this is more so for wants instead of needs. Social media ads are going to work best for those types of products that are more of a luxury. They are a want compared to a need. People who need something actively are going to go to Google where they can directly search for it. Now, most of our clients, because we work with so many service companies, are going to lean a little bit more towards Google ads. Again, this is not, you know, this is a general rule of thumb. This is not set in stone, guys. But typically, we're going to lead more towards those because you're a plumber, you're an HVAC guy, you're an electrician, you're somebody who is going to serve a direct need. Now, this isn't always the case. I work with a couple of a fencing company. I work with a gutter company, and we run social media ads for them. For the gutter company, we run them for leaf guards. Those are the guards that go over your gutters. You don't have to have those. It's nice because then it makes cleaning out your gutters easier.
I
So-
just watched a leaf guard ad on Facebook yesterday.
Did you?
And honestly, I don't even look at ads. And I was like, I am in a
Kinda
bigger
want
home
one.
now, and I
Kind
do
of
have
want one.
gutters, and
I know.
I watched it. I mean, I literally watched it. I don't watch. I'm just shocked that you even brought that up. I think they're targeting me. So,
I love
yeah,
it. I love it.
yeah. There you go.
But like Rudy said, he's not looking like if he had, he had a storm, or if his gutters got ruined, he would be going to Google to directly search for somebody to install or repair gutters. But when he's scrolling on Facebook and he sees an ad for leaf guards, that's not something he has to have, but it is something that is tempting him. Well, think of all the time that's going to save you. It's a luxury item. It's disposable income. It's those types of people. So social media ads are going to be more so for like our remodelers, our painters. That example of privacy fence company or a gutter company that wants to promote some leaf guards or rain chains, these types of things that aren't necessary, but they can pull at somebody's, emotions where they want it compared to need it. We're feeling good about that. Difference in between the two, feeling good. Okay. Now, there are 5 things before starting ads. A lot of times I'll have a client come to me who I keep getting calls about ads. I keep getting called. When are we going to do that? What are we doing here? What are these? Why aren't we doing that? We got to hold our horses a little bit because there are 5 very important things to consider before starting ads because they are a big investment. They are a big commitment. And if you're not doing these 5 things, they're going to be a very frustrating and expensive mistake for you. And so let's talk about them. I'm going to rapid fire through them and then I'm going to go into detail of what each one looks like. So the first question you have to consider is, am I already taking advantage of all the best practice lead generation activities? What that means is if you are not on Google Local Services and you are an industry that can get on Google Local Services, that is what we are going to look into before we're going to even talk about ads, because it is a better practice. This is things like getting Google reviews. If you have no Google reviews, you have no business starting an ads campaign on Google. And so these are the things that we have to consider. Are we fully taking advantage of the best practice lead generation activities? The second thing is, do I diligently track my leads? I'm going to be spending a lot of money on ads. Do I have the system put in place to be tracking what I'm getting from them? The third thing is, how confident am I in my documented sales process? We had a group call last week about documented sales processes. If you weren't there, you need to listen to that one before we talk about ads. 4, who on my team own the activities that comes with ads? Who do I have on my team? If it's myself, do I have the bandwidth to do it? Those are the questions that you need to be asking. And then last but not least, can I commit to 3 months at $25 a day, knowing it may take a month or more before I see a return on my investment? I'm going to go into more details of that later, but ads do not work overnight. That's the impression that some of these companies will give you when they call you. It's not the way they work. They take time. They are an investment on the front end. We'll get more into that later. So the first consideration, are we doing the most? Now, guys, I'm not going to be a dead horse here. We just did a group call a couple weeks ago about the main activities that you need to see we need to see you doing consistently to grow your business. Jonathan Rood led that call. If you haven't listened to it, but these are like consistently getting Google reviews, you know, monthly newsletters to your customer database, ongoing management of your Google profile in your social medias. You know, are you fully utilizing third-party listing sites? You know, if you're not getting Google reviews, if you're not updating your Google local services or fully optimizing it, if we're not doing these activities, then we probably shouldn't think about ads until we have fully given them all the go, because these are going to be the cheapest and most effective ways to get leads. We only want to look at adding this other lead stream when we know that we're doing the most here. The second consideration is, are we tracking consistently? I love Bob's win with Surface Renew, because if you don't know your numbers, you do not know your business. This
Hey,
is
that's
the
not your
owner.
quote. Oh, sorry.
This is
You
the
said it
owner.
so confidently. I was like, that's Nicole. I almost believed you, and then I saw there was a photo there. So I'm
No,
sorry. Go on.
This is Marcus. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Lemonis, I'm guessing. But he's the owner, the CEO of Camper World. He's also associated with Gander. I don't know if we have any hunters or campers, but that's a pretty big company. Rudy, you nor hunt nor camp. You are not an outdoorsy guy. Put your hand down, sir. So if you do not know your numbers, you do not know your business, and you have no business running ads if you are not willing to consistently track. This looks a lot like leads. How many leads are coming in and where are they coming from? What is our conversion ratio? I loved hearing Rob talk about how he tracks his conversion ratio now. So he knows what he's doing with these leads. He knows his closing ratio. That's allow him to be able to make adjustments and to train a lot more actively than he ever has been able to before. You know, how many leads did we book for appointments? We know our closing ratios, how many sales appointments set versus deal closed. And then we need to have a dedicated system for where our leads are at in the sales process. The good news is we, in our tracking document at Redmond Growth, we have systems to track all of this. You might have a CRM that does it. My question to you is, are we filling it out? Are we looking at it? And then are we making edits based on the data that we're having? You know, tracking does nothing if you're not actively looking at it and saying, what are these numbers telling me? What adjustments do I need to make based on this data that I am getting? This also is so important with ads in particular, because if we are the ones making this ad for you, this feedback is how we improve your ads. It's how we get you better cost per lead. It's how we make adjustments. If you're just flying by the seat of your pants and operating by feelings, then we're going to have a campaign that operates by feelings and not facts. We're going to be shooting in the dark. We're not going to know what adjustments really need to be made to get you a better campaign. And so more so than any other form of advertising, when it comes to these type of ads, we have to make sure that you're tracking them. You know, the quality of the leads. We got to make sure that all of that is documented.
And what I'll add with that is, for us, it's not just a consideration if you're going to run ads with us. It's in a sense, a requirement. Like, we need to have that data in order to produce something valuable for you with managing those campaigns, and you need that information as well.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you
I have a quick question.
Bryce. Yes.
I'm sorry, with the leads, I mean, obviously you can figure out how many, but how do you figure out where from? Like, is that a question you ask the caller?
Yeah.
I mean,
So that is going to be a question that you're going to want to make sure that every single lead that comes in, that we're asking that's in our script, that we're asking them how they heard about us. A lot of people are going to say something really clever, like online. It's like, great. That's really helpful. And so you might have to get them to get a little bit more specific, like, okay, great. Did you see our Google reviews, or did you come across our website, or maybe you clicked on an ad? You know, can you help me out to figure out where you came from? And then, you know, try to get them as specific as they can. Now, with a lot of these ad platforms, like with social media ads, your leads are going to show up in a dashboard. And so you are going to be able to see what leads are coming through. But time, somebody might see an ad and they might not take action then, but they might take action later. They might search for you later. It's hard to fully know the effect the ads are getting you. But that's why we want to be asking, is so that we can try to get people to get as specific as possible.
Yep. And we do both, where as Nicole said, you ask, but also on the advertising platforms, every one of them should have some sort of a way, because they're going to track how many they're charging you for. So at the very least, you can find quantity, if not finding information like their name or their phone number or something like that. So you just have to learn or ask us to show you how to get in the back end and be able to see how many leads and maybe a little bit of their information as well.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. No, great question. Now, the third consideration, and I'm not, going to spend a ton of time on going through what your sales process needs to look like, because again, we just had a call last week. And so, and I think we at least have 5 other group calls recorded about sales processes. So if you need to listen to one, if you haven't listened to one, let us know. We'll get you one to listen to. But what I will say is that having a documented sales process, there is one part of the sales process that is the most important when it comes to these types of ads. And that's going to be this one right here, drip campaigns. Because a lot of times with ads, like I said earlier, somebody might not take action right then. If anybody has run ads here before, you've probably had the experience of like, Nicole, I'm having to hound these people down. They set an appointment, they give me their information, and then they ghost me. I cannot get a hold of them. Who has had that experience before? And it is so frustrating because you are paying for these leads and you're just, please answer the phone. Tell me the yes or no. So that's why drip campaigns are so important. What drip campaigns are is for those leads that you can't get a hold of. They are communications that are consistently sent out to stay in front of them. Whether it's a newsletter, it's a special, it's follow-ups, it's encouragement for them to book an appointment again. It's whatever it is you staying in front of them. Because studies show that it takes contacting somebody 7 times before having a meaningful conversations with them.
Oh.
And so, go ahead, Rudy. Tell us.
No, just reminds me here, since Bob's on the line, or on the call, we recently been doing some text campaigns to previous leads who had reached out through certain form of advertising, and just did us an offer. Nothing crazy, but just another touch point, and actually did that exact same group of people. I think it was like 300 people or so. And the first time booked I think at least a couple jobs, one if not more, and then I don't know if the second round did that. But bottom line, there were several touch points after we already thought, these guys are probably gone. We try to get in hold of them, and where most people would let that go, we're able to have another touch point with them and book some jobs. So
absolutely.
It works.
Minnesota Gutter is a good example of this too, where he does a very good job of not just keeping track of his customer database, but the leads that have ever contacted him looking for work, whether he won the job or not. A storm came through his area, and we sent out an email blast to that whole entire list saying, hey, storm came through. We would love to help you in regards to your insurance, get you a free quote, and get you back repaired. Within the next 2 weeks, he had over $500,000 worth of estimates come in, of estimates for him to book, people reaching back out to him. And the only reason that he was able to do that is because he was diligently tracking his contacts. He was putting them somewhere. He knew that was valuable. That's money. That is low-hanging fruit. And I would go so far to say that if you are not willing to do this, if you're going to have the attitude with ads of, hey, the lead came in, I contacted them once and I never heard back from them, ads suck. If that's going to be your attitude, do not ads. I would even say that the majority of the money that you can win from ads are from these types of situations, getting these people's contact information so that you can put them in your pipeline. You can stay in front of them. You have no idea how much work could come from them in the future, even if it's not right now.
Yeah, there's the phrase that I'm sure you guys have all heard as well before, that it costs, I think, is it 5 times more to gain a new customer than it is an old customer and getting repeat work. And that's, you can consider old customer not necessarily as somebody, that's what Nicole's point is, not necessarily somebody that you did work for, but somebody that reached out to you at some point in the past as well. So there's so much value, so much gold, you can say, in the hills of your past customers or past interactions.
Absolutely. I know we're approaching the winter time, guys. I've got a lot of clients that are in Minnesota. It gets real cold and snowy up there. I've got H guys where, you know, they're in places where winter is pretty quiet because the weather's pretty, you know, calm. These are the type of activities that you need to be leaning into during this slow time, because that customer list, that database for all those leads, that's what can keep you busy doing these follow-ups, sending out these drip campaigns. Also, making sure that you have automation set up. If you are running ads, you need to make sure that somebody or something, whether it's your CRM or a person who's owning the activity, is going to be committed to, as soon as that lead comes in, we are reaching out to them. Pat Summit, she was the University of Tennessee's women's college basketball coach. She had almost 1,100 wins in her career, which is the most in history up to the time of her retirement. And I think she a little bit something about building a team.
Wow.
She says responsibility equals accountability equals ownership. And a sense of ownership is the most powerful weapon a team or organization can have. Ads is not a group project. It is not, I as the owner sets up ads and then I'm just going to have my sales team call them and I'm going to trust it's happening. It's everybody's responsibility. No. We have to have a dedicated salesperson who is going to own this process of implementing the sales process and owning the leads. This looks like managing your Google profiles, updating your social media accounts if you're running social media ads. It's getting reviews and followers. It's implementing that sales process. And it's truly having initiative, accountability, and ownership of this, of the leads that are coming in through ads. You have to have a dedicated person. Now, this could look like an office person who's, you know, sitting at their desk all day, who's sending out the automations, the drip campaigns, setting the first appointments, following up with them. And then you have a salesperson who's going out and doing the appointments. You know, that's okay. What we have to make sure is that each person knows which steps of the sales process they are owning. We're not having the, oh, I thought you were going to do that. Oh, I booked the sales appointment, so it's your responsibility now. No, we have to be obsessed with these leads. We have to track them so diligently that we know exactly where they're at in the sales process and what step needs to be taken next. If you have 2 people who are owning this process, you need to make sure that they are holding each other accountable. You know, there needs to kind of be a sense of, if somebody drops the ball, I'm a little, you know, like, I'm doing my part, I need you to do your part. Let's hold each other accountable. You know, there has to be this sense of ownership of this process and this obsession over, I'm going to make the most out of these leads. You know, I know what I'm owning in this process and I am taking that ownership and I'm going to take initiative for it. But again, you can't have that dedicated person until you have that documented sales process. So all these steps go hand in hand.
And something I'll interject here as well is a dedicated salesperson could also be an automation. If you are still in the phase of just me, I'm the one going out and running ads, or not running ads, running estimates, and I'm doing work as well. There's a lot you can do with email scheduling, scheduling emails in advance, or setting up triggers. There are platforms as well. I know Drip Jobs is one that's relatively inexpensive that can set up those automations and do it automatically for you. But this dedicated sales process is simple as drafting up the message that you just replace the person's name. And there's lots of software that can easily do that for you and take a lot off your plate and make you present so much better to your customers. You sell better as a result, not just for ads, but all around.
Bryce is 100% right.
Wow.
I know.
Amazing.
Write that down. This is recorded. You can save that for later. He's 100% right. However, a CRM or a software is never going to sell for you. You cannot assume that it's going to own this process. You've got to make sure that you are doing your part in it. It's going to work best when you have both. You know, when you have the automation set up, you have those drip communications automatically going, because then it's out of your mind. You know, and you are implementing your part in the process. You know, you are making the calls, you are making the follow-up appointments, you're committed to getting the people within 72 hours for that estimate. You know, you've got to make sure that you're doing both. Don't ever rely on an automated system or an answering service or any of these easy things that we want to set up and work. As a business coach, if there was something out there that sold for our clients, we would be selling the hell out of it to you. You know, we'd be giving it to you. But there's nobody that's going to sell, you know, there's no system that's going to sell for you. But you need to have both going. Get those automations set up and make sure that you're implementing your part in the sales process. Now, if you've made it this far in my presentation and you're like, Nicole, I've answered yes to all of these questions. I am ready to go. I am revved up. You know, I've got all of this in place. Let's get her going. Awesome. Artia, I'm excited about it. But I have saved the worst for last. Number 5, we're going to be talking about financial commitment. Everybody's favorite thing, talking about money. Like I said earlier, with ads, it is when we run ads for people, we let them know this is a 3-month commitment. You know, you're committing to trying to run ads for 3 months. Now, that doesn't mean that if their ads not spending or it just seems like the offer isn't compelling enough, you know, we will be quick to tell you, hey, either we need to stop ads or we need to pivot. You know, like that doesn't mean that you're just locked in for 3 months no matter what's going on. You know, what it means is that we want to set expectations with you that ads do take time to be successful. I was on a call with our lead ad guy, Shane, and Robert Redmond the other day, and I heard Shane tell Robert, hey, for the first month of running ads, I just assume I'm not going to make any money from them. I am just going to make my ad spend. I'm going to collect the data that I need to make the ad campaign better so that in those following months, I start seeing a better return on my investment. But I am not expecting to make anything within that first month. If I do, awesome, but I'm not going in with that assumption. Ads take time. You're also going to have to sort through a little bit of junk here, guys, especially with AdWords. We can't necessarily control who clicks on your ads. And so you are going to sort through some junk. There are things that we can do to try to prevent them, but even when you have all of those systems in place, you're still going to get some junk. You're still going to get some tire kickers. Do not be emotional about it. It can be very emotional because this is your money, this is your business. It can be frustrating, but it is par for the course. I mean, after you guys get junk calls from people finding your business listing, you know, and those are free. You know, those people are out there. You are going to have to sort through some junk. It can be frustrating, but just try not to be emotional about it. You know, if you get 10 leads and you book 2 of them, a lot of times that can pay for your entire ad spend, you know, and that is realistic expectations. You might get 10 and get in contact with 2, you know, that's okay. We can't go in there being emotional about it. Otherwise it will be a very frustrating experience.
Yep. And unfortunately, Gulam just, I guess, got disconnected from the call, but I was going to call him out as one of my clients that has really the best perspective mentally about the investment that ads are. That he understands that it's still going to be leads like you've always gotten, that you're going to have to sort through, filter through. Not everyone's a winner. And ads doesn't mean that you're just being teed up and then knocking them out of the park every time. Now, likely that's the case with some of them, but that commitment of knowing that I'm going to spend a lot in order to get the learning and then eventually get to what I really want. But it is still lead generation. There is still the work of sales to be done.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now, this part, I don't want to gloss over it because this seems to be a battle I fight almost every time when it comes with setting up ads. You have to have a compelling offer. Your ads are competing. You guys saw that Google search when I pulled it up. You're competing with Google local services website, other ads, map section. If you do not have a compelling offer, why the heck would somebody click on your ad? You have to have a compelling offer. What is not a compelling offer is free estimates. Everybody does that. We have to have, if you got, that's all you can give me, let's give her a go, but have the expectations of my ads might not perform very well until I have a more compelling offer. You have to have a compelling offer on that ad, especially with social media ads, because like I discussed earlier, those are disruptive. People are not searching for what you are advertising for. You are interrupting their feed as they are mindlessly scrolling through the crap that is social media. You have to have a compelling offer that's compelling enough that somebody is going to pause long enough to click on your ad. And then it needs to be compelling enough that they will take action from there, whether it's filling out the form, clicking the phone number, calling you, making the purchase. You have to have a compelling offer. If you're currently running ads and they're not producing that the way that you want them to, that is the first thing that I really want you to look at is say, hey, is my offer compelling? Is something that I could come up with that would be more intriguing to my customer base? And then last but not least, if you do not do the other 4 steps, this will be a very frustrating and expensive mistake. That's why we had a group presentation about it. It's because it's that important. You have to have all of these 5 considerations. You need to be saying confidently yes to every single one. I feel confident about it. I've got it in place. I'm ready to rock and roll. Before ads is going to be a super wise investment. So what I'm going to do here now, guys, I'm going to let Bryce put us into breakout rooms where we're really going to be able to go over each one of these 5 questions. I want you guys thinking about it. What are your answers? Are your answers yes, I've got that in place, or no? And then that's going to help you identify what systems you need to build before starting ads.